Hey everyone, welcome to Movie Summaries. Today I'm going to summarize the 2019 horror movie called The Silence. Fair warning, there are definitely spoilers in this summary. Enjoy, and be sure to subscribe to watch more videos weekly, and hit like. The movie begins with a group of archaeologists digging through uncharted caves in Pennsylvania, 1,000 feet beneath the Appalachian Trail. They come across a massive, never-seen-before dark chamber, and begin to celebrate. However, suddenly, they hear strange noises coming from inside it, and lo and behold, the researchers are under attack by an unknown flying creature that instantly killed the researchers and fly out of the mine. The movie then cuts to a high school in Montclair, New Jersey. A deaf teenager named Allie Andrews is waiting for a bus when she realizes that a bunch of douchebags are mocking her for being deaf. She ignores them and decides to walk back home. Allie lost her hearing ability in a car accident 3 years ago. A guy named Rob shows up and offers to walk her home. They both have a major crush on each other, but always fall short of admitting it. At work, Allie's father Hugh gets a call from her mother Kelly, who reminds him to pick up her mother, Lynn's prescriptions on his way home. Kelly also tells him that she learned from a parent that some of the boys were mocking Allie in school. It upsets Hugh, but Kelly tells him not to bring it up with Allie, because she won't like it. Ever since Allie lost her hearing ability, Hugh and Kelly have become very protective of their daughter, and often have fights about it. Allie lives with her parents, brother, Jude, and maternal grandmother, Lynn. The Andrews family also have a pet dog, Otis. At night, while looking at a fleet of helicopters leaving for somewhere in a hurry, Allie catches her sick grandma secretly smoking outside. However, Lynn makes Allie promise not to tell her mother about it. Seems like a good opportunity to ask for a bribe. Later that night, Rob sends Allie a fascinating video of a colony of what looks like bats flying somewhere. Trust me, she won't find them fascinating in a bit. At 3 a.m., Kelly wakes Allie up and asks her to come downstairs. She notices that her entire family is in the living room, glued to the TV, looking worried. All windows are closed, and the fireplace has been covered by plastic. The TV is reporting that the US cities are under attack by an unknown species of pterosaur-like creature, referring to it as vesps. They were unleashed into humanity when the researchers blasted through the ancient rockfall that was sealed off for millions of years. The creatures can kill a human in a matter of seconds, and use noise to locate their prey. The US government has declared a state of emergency, and asked people to stay indoors and quiet. Allie suggests they head to the countryside, which is going to be quieter, and hence, safer. Hugh agrees. Glenn joins them, bringing his guns and car with him, and they set out for the countryside. Meanwhile, the creatures are wreaking havoc in the city. There's blood and dead bodies everywhere in the underground metro. The surviving passengers have taken refuge inside train cars. Suddenly, a baby starts frantically crying, and his mother fails to make him stop. Afraid of attracting the creatures, a group of passengers proceed to kick the baby out of the train. In a matter of seconds, the creatures locate the baby and his mother. Sheesh. Survival of the fittest, or whatever Darwin said, I guess. Allie and her family stop at the gas station to refuel their cars. She uses the opportunity to take Otis out to pee, while Hugh tries to keep his son Jude entertained. He tells the boy how he met Uncle Glenn in high school. Hugh reveals that one day after school, 3 lacrosse players walked up to him and started bullying him. Hugh didn't like fighting, so he tried to talk his way out of it, but Glenn showed up and headbutted one of the guys. The bully dropped right to the ground, and the other 2 ran away. Hugh and Glenn have been best friends ever since then. Suddenly, Hugh hears Allie screaming and quickly runs to her. A man has held her at gunpoint and is demanding keys to Hugh's car. Hugh proceeds to comply, but Glenn again shows up to his rescue and shoots the robber in the foot. The man falls to the ground. The Andrews family take the man's gun and drive away, leaving the robber to be killed by the creatures. Before they could get far, the group comes across a massive traffic jam that's blocking all the interstate highways. Glenn proposes an alternative, and they go off-road. While driving through the countryside, Glenn suddenly comes across a herd of fleeing deers. He quickly swerves his car in order to avoid crashing into the wild animal, and ends up tumbling down the embankment. Panicking, the Andrews family rush to check Glenn. Fortunately, he has survived the crash, but is trapped inside the car. Allie calls 911, but fails to reach them. Hugh tries to get the door open with a nut wrench, but without success. Giving up, Glenn asks Hugh to hand him his gun and leave with his family. Hugh refuses to leave him alone, but Glenn convinces him to go for the sake of his family. Hugh promises his best friend that he will return with help before leaving. As Hugh's family proceed to leave, Otis starts barking repeatedly, attracting the vesps. Hearing Hugh's family screaming for help, Glenn starts firing his gun to lure the creatures towards him, sacrificing himself. The creatures swarm Glenn, but Otis continues to bark. In order to keep his family safe, Hugh makes the difficult choice of letting the dog out of their car to die. Man, tough decision. The The Andrews family realizes that they can't drive away in their car without attracting the Vesps, so they decide to abandon it. Hugh lights Glenn's car on fire to distract the Vesps, and sets out on foot with his family to find a shelter. They walk for hours, and Lynn struggles to keep up with her coughing, putting the family at risk. By evening, the family comes across a house surrounded by a high fence and locked gate in the woods. Their presence attracts the Vesps, alerting the homeowner. The homeowner, who seemingly isn't aware of the creatures that are plaguing humanity currently, comes out screaming at the intruders with a gun. The Vesp immediately swarms the lady and rips her apart. Hugh looks around the property for an alternate exit and comes across a storm drain tunnel that leads into the compound. He ventures into the property first to make sure it's safe. After getting a green signal from Hugh, Allie and the others enter the tunnel. But inside, Jude comes across a rattlesnake, which makes him scream and attract the Vesp. Damn, this family can't seem to get a break. The Vesp kill the snake, but they also bite Kelly's leg. Hugh quickly turns on the wood chipper to distract the creatures and shreds them to death. Smart. The family finally enters the house and cleans Kelly's wounds. Jeez, those bite marks look brutal. Before going to bed, Allie contacts Rob. To her dismay, a disheveled Rob reveals that his parents have been killed by the creatures. Worried, Allie asks him to get out of the city and join her in the cabin. But before Rob could respond, the video call disconnects. The next day, amidst all the chaos and despair, a religious cult is on the rise. Lynn again examines Kelly's wounds and learns that it is infected. Realizing that the wound is going to continue to spread without antibiotics, Hugh heads out to a medical store with Allie, while Lynn and Jude stay back with Kelly. Hugh and Allie come across a deserted city and look for a medical store. A reverend is seen watching the father-daughter from a distance as they head into the store. The store is dark, deserted, and stinking of rotten flesh. As Hugh collects the medicine, Allie notices vesp eggs growing inside the human corpses lying around the store. She inadvertently makes some noise and alerts the creatures. They are stuck inside the store with tens of flesh-eating creatures. An idea strikes Allie, and she signals to her dad to look at the fire sprinklers above them. Hugh understands the assignment and starts looking for ways to light a fire. He signals her to pass him a mop and lights it on fire. He then holds the burning mop close to the fire alarm, causing it to go off. The noise from the fire alarm and the water sprinkler detract the creatures, and Hugh and Allie manage to escape unharmed. Outside, they are approached by the Reverend, who seems to have cut his tongue. It turns out he is the leader of the cult that's going around recruiting people and killing the non-believers. Now, why did he have to cut off his tongue to be safe from the creatures? Couldn't he just shut up? The Reverend asks them to join his flock, but Allie senses trouble and asks her father to avoid him. They manage to safely return home with antibiotics, and Kelly begins to recover. The next day, Hugh checks the TV for any update about the vesps. Allie then approaches him from behind, unintentionally giving him a good scare. She tells him that the news channels are only broadcasting every now and then, from some bunker somewhere. She reveals that the news earlier reported that the vesp can't stand intense cold weather. People above the Arctic Circle are surviving. She also tells him about the regions called Gray. There are places where electricity has gone out, and people are being cut off from the world when the battery of their phones and computers are dying. They seem as if they have been wiped off the map. Later that day, the Reverend and his cult members show up at Hugh's hideout. Figured this was coming. He again asks Hugh to join their cult, and again gets turned down. Hugh tells him to leave him and his family alone. As Hugh proceeds to go back inside, the Reverend stops him and writes him a creepy note, saying the girl is fertile. Hugh looks them up and down, and goes back inside. The Reverend and his cult members seem to think Hugh was going to get his fertile daughter for them, but he returns with a damn rifle instead. However, the lunatics are unfazed, as they know Hugh won't shoot them, which would create a loud noise and jeopardize his family. Hugh takes the safety of the rifle off, and the cult members finally go away. Later that evening, Allie gets a message from Rob. He tells her that he is headed north of the country, to the refuge. But before Allie gets to ask him more about it, she loses her phone signal. At midnight, Hugh and Kelly wake up to noises coming from outside. He grabs his rifle and checks on the main door, while Kelly wakes Lynn and Jude up. Hugh doesn't see anyone on the door. However, when Jude checks the door, he notices a little girl his age standing outside. The girl looks afraid, so Kelly decides to let her in. Sometimes kindness can be a weakness. The Andrews family gives the girl a warm blanket and asks her how she got here, but the girl doesn't respond. Kelly notices the scars on the girl's jaw, and Hugh inspects her mouth. Lo and behold, the girl doesn't have a tongue. She is a member of the Reverend's cult, and most likely sent by him. The Andrews family have been set up. They check her waist and realize that she has been strapped with multiple mobile phones. I mean, it is no bomb, but it is effectively the same in this current setting. Meanwhile, Allie wakes up in her room and notices a phone taped to a cross on her window. The phone alarm suddenly starts to go off and attracts the creatures, freaking Allie out. The phones strapped to the little girl also start to go off, and the family scrambles to take them off. Hugh dumps the phones in water, while Allie runs into the living room. The creatures start breaking their windows. Hugh and Jude try to keep the vesp out, while Allie and others go into the basement to hide. However, in the basement, masked cult members who seem to have been waiting for Allie the whole time grab her. Kelly attacks the men, but they kick her into the wall, knocking her unconscious. The men carry Allie out, and the little girl goes with them. Lynn follows the cult members outside. Lynn grabs the 2 of the 3 men and signals Allie to flee. Allie bites the hand of the 3rd cult member and sets herself free. Allie's grandmother continues to hold the cult members down and uses all of her power to scream. As Kelly runs outside, Lynn's scream attracts the vesps that ruthlessly attack and kill her and the cult members. Allie and Kelly break into tears. Hugh and Jude rush outside and notice the Reverend and his cult abducting Allie. The Reverend tauntingly signals Hugh to hush and leaves with his daughter. However, taking advantage of the rain, Hugh, Kelly, and Jude quietly follow them and launch a surprise attack. An enraged Hugh strangles the cult leader with a rifle, but the Reverend stabs him with a knife in the waist. Hugh summons all his strength and again gets back up. He uses his late best friend Glenn's classic headbutt and knocks the cult leader down as Kelly takes other cult members out. Kelly then helps her husband by taking the knife out of his waist. The Reverend attempts to get up, but Hugh again gets on his case. This time, Hugh hammers the cult leader to death with the rifle. The Andrew family return home and let the little girl and her mother go. Weeks pass by. The family is seen trekking across America before finally arriving at the refuge. Allie recharges her tablet in an abandoned car and gets in touch with Rob. Allie eventually reunites with Rob, and the movie ends with Allie hunting the vesp with Rob and wondering out loud whether the vesp will adapt to the cold and if humans will adapt to the life of silence, like she did when she lost her hearing. I'd want to stick with Allie and Hugh if I was ever in this situation. Their survival skills definitely paid off. Hope you enjoyed our summary. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos weekly. Thanks.